What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next NBA draft scouting report. So today I will be doing the 6'10", 245-pound freshman power forward out of Michigan State, Deyonta Davis. He is from Muskegon, something like that. And he's got a 7'1" wingspan. So this is a guy that actually didn't get a whole lot of exposure this year. He definitely was able to get some positive exposure this year in college. He is very highly regarded as probably a lottery pick, and I don't think he should make it out of the lottery. Should be able to showcase his skills on a little bit more advanced level, maybe at the combine this summer, and see if he can develop a little bit more into a more well-rounded player in the NBA. So get into some of his stats. So again, he didn't play that much as a freshman. Had 18.6 minutes. Shot the ball with 60% field goal percentage. 5.5 rebounds per game. 1.8 blocks, and then also 0.7 assists. So to go along with 7.5 points per game. So like I said, not that much exposure. Didn't even play half the game every game. And you know what? For what he played, it was pretty decent averages. He started to see an increase in minutes around, it seemed like he started to see an increase in minutes around the end of the year. But as a whole, he was a rotation player. So get into some of his strengths. First one is size and strength. So at 6'10" with a 7'1" wingspan, that's great size for a power forward. Could also play the 5 and probably a small ball lineup. He probably fits into that situation very well. Sorry about that. Adopted by skating and embraced by everything. But anyway, and at 245 pounds, even though he has a little bit of a ways to go in the post, that's a good size. And he's actually pretty strong and can hold his position pretty well. So get into the second strength, and that's his overall athleticism. So you watch him play. He's very fluid up and down the floor, good in transition, has the ability to really hang with any type of fast play style. Like I said, he can play small ball 5, or he can play in a lineup that pushes it at the 4. That's definitely an area where he would excel at, and plays above the rim extremely well. Like I said, with that combination of size, strength, and wingspan, he can bring down a lot of rebounds that you wouldn't expect him to. That's one of the strongest parts of his game, is just overall rebounding. Now, 5.5 rebounds per game per 18.6 minutes. You're looking at about 11 rebounds per 40, maybe a little bit more than that, probably closer to 12. But that stat is something that you will hope translates to the NBA. Like I said, that's probably one of his best abilities is rebounding. Not talking about on the same level as maybe like a Sabonis or I'm trying to think of a few other good rebounders in this draft. Maybe Steven Zimmerman. Kind of blanking right now. But anyway, I really like this kid's ability. Is just an athletic 4 or 5 down low. A guy that can kind of be a project for his first 2 years in the league and then really turn into a good role player for the rest of his career. So get into his third strength, which is upside as a two-way player. He's shown flashes on both ends of the floor. He was most effective as a defensive player this year. Really started showing through. Honestly, at the beginning of the season, this is a guy that blocks a lot of shots. For playing at the 4, he is pretty effective as a rim protector. 1.8 blocks, around 4 blocks per 40 minutes. I believe it's 4.1 exactly, which, again, solid average. One thing that's probably going to have to come down is personal fouls. Looking at 2.3 personal fouls per 18.6 minutes, which brings it to about almost 5 fouls per 40 minutes, which is a foul out, obviously. So got to stay a little bit more, got to stay a little bit less aggressive defensively and be a little bit smarter with how he uses his foul selection. Also, he showed offensive flashes, 60% field goal percentage. He has a developing post game. He's good mid-range. I believe he shot about 70% from inside the free throw line. So as long as that free throw percentage improves a little bit, I think you could see it improve a little bit Like I said, inexperience is just a big thing with him. Right now it's sitting at about 60.5% from his freshman year, but that was only with 1.1 free throw attempts per game, only 38 free throw attempts total in this entire season. So he's not a very polished player offensively, but again, you can see the flashes here and there with his mid-range jumpers, hot streaks, and ability to run in transition and provide a real threat, running with a fast-paced offense. So his force strength is just his overall defensive prowess and upside. So, like I said, when you look at all of his defensive stats, rebounds, blocks, not necessarily steals, but it's not really something you expect out of a 4 or a 5. But you look at his averages per 40 minutes. Like I said, you're looking around 12 rebounds and 4 blocks per 40 minutes. Those are elite stats. And maybe if you got more exposure, you would have been able to see it. But again, Tom Izzo didn't play him much his freshman year. Like I said, inexperience and just overall lack of awareness of fundamentals for the game kept him on the bench a little bit more than a lot of people would have anticipated him to be. I think this guy can be an elite rebounder and be a good shot blocker in the NBA. He can be a good rim protector for a small ball lineup. That's where he's extremely valuable in this draft, I think, is as a small ball 5 and a guy that, while he can run in transition and still play fast, can also be a rim protector and can still play down low. The one thing that's got to develop really is his mid-range shooting. If that wants to be a thing that he'll be able to do long term. Facilitating is probably also going to have to improve as well. But anyway, get into some of his weaknesses. First one is inexperience. I mentioned this over and over again. He is only a freshman, played 650 minutes total compared to some other guys. One guy I was talking about yesterday in one of my scouting reports, DeAndre Bembry, was looking at about over 1,300 minutes this past year. So Deyonta Davis did not get much exposure in college. Again, still a highly regarded draft pick and prospect, but he's got a lot of polish to really get on both ends of the floor. Whatever situation he goes in, it's going to take a couple years before he's able to hang and be fully aware and look fully intact on an NBA court and be able to hang for at least 25 minutes, 30 minutes in any rotation. So, second weakness is his versatility on offense. Again, he doesn't have an advanced post game. A lot of times he'll get pushed out of the block. Just footwork and fundamentals are things that will help him out there. Again, the strength is something that he does have. He's got the size and the strength to be able to hang in the post. But again, the aggressiveness, while it needs to be dialed back a little bit on the defensive end of the floor, it needs to be picked up a little bit on the offensive end of the floor. Now, he is a decent offensive rebounder. I believe pulled down about 2 offensive rebounds per game. He's got the ability to really hit the glass hard on offense. Also, again, the mid-range shooting and the free throw shooting is going to have to improve if he wants to be able to play in today's NBA, again, where he is expected to thrive. He fits today's NBA extremely well, the style of play that you need to play small ball. And then also, like I said, he's probably if you are starting at the 5 in the NBA, you're probably going to get to the line quite a few times now. And if you're shooting, really shooting under 60%, then I wouldn't say it hurts your team, because honestly, under 60% compared to some of the guys like DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard right now, that's actually not bad. But again, for a guy that is known to be a developing mid-range shooter, you'd like that free throw percentage to maybe get up around 65, 68%. So, third weakness is fundamentals on both ends of the floor. So I mentioned this kind of goes back to the inexperience thing. If he can develop well, if you can start seeing him just get a better feel for the game of basketball and just getting a feel for the NBA speed as time goes along, then that'll iron out a lot of the issues that he has right now and really turn him into a complete NBA player that a lot of scouts think he can be. His footwork's got to improve on defense. Like I said, he's got to be able to get a little bit better position in the post. He's got to be able to lay off a little bit sometimes on defense, like position himself a little bit better, play a little bit more upright, and be able to bring the personal fouls down a little bit. Like I said, with how many blocks he has per game right now, or per 40 minutes, it's an extremely impressive stat, one that's hard to find. And if he's able to improve his fundamentals, get on a team that, you know, encourages him to take his time and understand the game, then I think you're looking at a lethal player in 2 to 3 years. All right, so that does it for the strengths and weaknesses. So do the normal thing, my stats projections from the NBA, where I think he will go in the draft, best fits, that sort of thing. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, he will most likely be a lottery pick. I'd say mid-lottery, probably. I'd say 8 to 14 is probably where he's looking to fall. The last NBA Draft.net mock draft had him falling at number 11 to the Orlando Magic. Again, he's probably going to fit best in with a scheme that runs a small ball type offense, one that runs fast in transition and utilizes his size and athleticism. Now, when you're talking about best fits, I think a few of the ones that you're looking at are the Phoenix Suns at 4. Again, he's probably not going to go that high, but also the Phoenix Suns at 13 would be a great fit as well. They need a big. They don't need any more guards. They need someone to help out those guards and be able to get them the ball a little bit more and be able to help them out in transition. Now, another good fit to me would be with the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, he wouldn't really be playing in a small ball lineup, but the Bucks are in a little bit of need, I think, of a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more aggressiveness. But again, that's a developing team in Milwaukee that could be dangerous in a couple years with the Greek Freak, Chris Middleton, Greg Monroe, all those guys. And then my last fit is just the Chicago Bulls. I mentioned the Chicago Bulls as a favorite for a lot of players, but the Bulls really are going to need a new direction to go in with a big. He brings it, at least when he's hitting the glass and blocking wise, he does bring somewhat of a Taj Gibson presence, but he probably will end up being a little bit better offensive player than Gibson, and he's faster. So again, those are probably the best fits you're looking at. His rookie year, you're probably looking at a guy that's probably going to be averaging like 4 points, maybe 6 rebounds, depending on how much he plays and whether he plays at the 4 or the 5. I'd say at his peak, though, you're looking at a guy that can probably average 12 points, 12 boards, and 3 blocks per game, maybe more of a Hassan Whiteside type of player. I wouldn't really say Rudy Gobert. Those are 2 different types of players. But, again, he's a guy that has really high upside on both ends of the floor and really has one of the highest upsides of any players in the late lottery. So should be an interesting player to watch out for in the NBA. One that I'm extremely interested to see what happens since he did not get that much exposure in college. So that pretty much does it for this video. Later today I will be coming back with Malik Beasley. And if you have not seen DeAndre Bembry, go check that out. The link will be in the outro. I did that one yesterday, and the link to the entire playlist of all my NBA draft scouting reports is going to be in the description below. So that's pretty much it. See ya. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background information about DeAndre Bembry's stats and whatnot. So he is, scoot over a little bit, get a little better in the picture. So he is a 6'6", 210-pound junior out of St. Joe's, which is he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. And he's also got